Being said the same thing. Unfortunately, my battery was mad low, so I had to go to, I hate going up there for homeless reasons. Like I said before, staying at the shelter where I'm currently at, they kick you out for a couple of hours, and then you can come back in at 11 o'clock, I believe. That's what it is. Anyways, getting back to where I left off, I'm going to say this right now. That Maria Tavares is an evil motherfucking entity attachment. It's that woman's highest self, but she also acts as an entity and / roach attachment. Somebody was saying milk thistle, but, part of the reason why I went downtown is to go here. Plus, I like it. Magnesium actually puts you back together instantly. And it gets rid of roach attachments, entity attachments in you that are fully alive and sentient. Just like, when people suffer from schizophrenia, fish oil does the same thing too, but not as effectively. You still feel shit running around in your spirit and energy body. And, I'm hearing this shit, it helps, but at the same time, it's just like the example I threw out. Because it has such an effect. Like if I place, this is dangerous. I'm going to say this right now. It's very, very dangerous. They help you out and they give you good advice, but at the same time, it's like, for instance, when I place my plug, which represents connecting the stuff in the spirit plane to, now my consciousness feels weird all of a sudden. This is not right. All of a sudden, when I connected to my black kyanite here, next thing I know, it does what it's supposed to do. It'll have a physical effect, and that's very, very dangerous. That's why you don't want this shit in your energy body, because that shit that I got, roach attachments primarily, they externalize your body to where things can have a physical effect. And things can fuck you up and hurt you. So the minute I did that, it was helping, but it inadvertently fucked up something physically, and it shouldn't have that much of an effect. It's just like, for instance, when I took almond oil to help get stuff back with this curse because of the roach attachments I got, that Maria Tavares was able to pierce in and was able to, I feel her moving in my soul consciousness right now as I talk, and move shit out and fuck up things. That's why I can't have this shit. That shit helps, and they try to tranquilize themselves so they don't have as much of an effect, but they still do have an effect, which is a major problem. I almost lost the ability to be able to speak my piece with free will. My subconscious was about to get fucked up and all of that the minute they went back there to try to help. Their energy fucks you up because it's something about their consciousness. Baron Samedi was talking about it. That has you wide open and leaves you wide open to spiritual attacks. I was saying phone storage is almost full. I'm going to say this right now. I was able to, Baron Samedi was coming in trying to help me out earlier, put me back. The real one, I ain't going to say his real name or anything like that, and combat this Tavares thing. This is an evil entity. Them little roach spirits almost got him out. They were trying their best, but, it's hard to do that when your shit's externalized and you're made aware of what's literally going on in your body physically. You feel that shit. People get nervous, they get tense, and it's hard. You try to work with something like that, but it's hard, and they try to work with you as best as they can. I know this. He was trying to get them out earlier, but I might have to do something. Like I said, I was playing 17,000 hertz, and then the minute I got this has had a physical effect. You know, problem is that I'm operating at the soul consciousness level, and that entity I was talking about, that Alex Nascimento entity, was the one that so many months ago, when I was about to full on escape this curse with the help of ancestors, put me in this position. I feel something physically destroying my consciousness right now, which is very fucking dangerous. This is very dangerous to function. It ain't just schizophrenia. This shit twists around. It trades you. Like I had that Maria Tavares steal my entire soul consciousness. My dad, going back to that August 22nd, 2022 timeline. I hear something saying shh. But this shit has a physical fucking effect, and I was warned. You know, that's the thing. I felt the stuff that was taken out, and I feel that if I don't have them same road spirits that open your shit wide to shit, I won't be able to accurately get my shit back. They're not holding it hostage, but you want to make sure you get your shit back. People get put together. Some people have a hard time finding shit, you know, that's yours, that's supposed to be connected to your body in the astral plane. So, I got to figure out a way. I feel this motherfucker like throating, swallowing certain parts of my consciousness just now, because she's in it. She in my soul consciousness, almost embedded. I got to do something about this shit, because I can't repair myself with this shit. It's next to impossible. I remember, you know, when Baron Samedi was about to kick that shit out earlier, I was just like, thank you. Get that evil ass shit out. Another thing that fucks you up as well is it gets confusing, because I'm operating again at the soul consciousness level, which the Alex Nascimento entity got me operating at. You know, I can't even think thoughts in my head, but I can't tell if I try to call on something, if I'm calling on my ancestors, if I'm calling on Baron Samedi, because the soul consciousness is getting mixed up. With that being said, continuing on, you know, speaking on Jesus Christ being an icon, he did exist, but he wasn't who you think he was. He was actually somebody that preached against the demiurge. You also had the Virgin Mary, who existed. She was a black woman who was just like me, from what I understand, from what I've seen in the spirit plane and all of that, what I heard as well, who would preach against the demiurge, and she got casted into the roach realm. She's the same thing as the Virgin Mary, Lord Guadalupe. It's I don't want to say a mimic of her, but it's a pantomime, a representation of her that's used by the demiurge to, in a way, keep us controlled, give us structure or icons that we could pray to as conduits to them. For instance, your boy Jay-Z, who I was talking about, who that Maria Tavares works with, in that August 22nd, 2022 timeline, who she sacrificed my parents to. Make a long story short, Baron Samedi pretty much do a cleansing with that evil ass shit. Ain't no way somebody can function. Them little roach spirits, they be trying their best to help your ass out, but you can't do it when you feeling shit inside your fucking body. I mean, literally externalize outside your body, but in it, it feels like cars moving around in your fucking body. Physical fucking cars. It's dangerous. It's hard to deal with. You know, one of them tried to do energy work. They got their energy got all fucked up by Maria Tavares being in it and her influence in it. And next thing I know, her consciousness nearly combined with mine. That actually happened a couple of fucking weeks ago where they had one that was trying to rectify shit for me. And our consciousnesses got screwed the fuck up. You can't have shit like that, them roach attachments in you, because they're gonna fuck your shit up by their very nature. His higher self was telling me, don't work with that evil ass shit. Because they'll fuck you up. And I still feel that Maria Tavares coming in, her, she planned on putting her own roach attachments, which would be a problem. I've actually had them in the form of a label, which was helping out. And it wasn't bad. I had to stop so that Bear Insanity can help out. So anyways, make a long story short, same thing happened with the Virgin Mary. She got fucked up. She got fucked up. She got put in the roach realm. She got made a sacrifice. And she also got turned into an icon as well. A god, a goddess that people revere as a conduit to get to God. You know, Ho, for instance, actually is the direct connection, your direct connection to God. That's why, you know, being part of the Illuminati and all that, even though he's pretty far from it because he's under that Baphomet, Jay-Z calls himself Hov, H-O-V. Now, with that being said, alright, so let me go ahead and explain what's going on with this Maria Tavares, and then I'm going to get to a tarot reading. I know it's been, you know, this is one of them long vlogs, but I have a lot to say. Ooh, he had to do some work on me just now. So anyways, with that being said, getting that back to that Maria Tavares, you know, again, she's coming from that tarot reader who did a reading for me a while back at 8704 Broadway Street by 87 and Broadway in South Central. And her name is, the name of the shop is San Archangel. It's spelled Arcangel, Michael, Botanica. With that being said, I think the reader's name might be Ellis Serrano or something. Like I say, her smile kind of reminds me of my grandfather on my dad's side, little little small lady with a small nose. So to make a long story short, sorry, I was passing by today and looked at a car, the window of a car, and my fucking lips were blue and all of that. So basically, she brought a dubbic into my energy body. So that actually it was through Mikey Hernandez, as I was saying before, his Raziel, and I think that's what I saw. Brought it into my energy body. So that it can invade and it could fuck me up. And the Dubbic's name is, what's his name? Something, Dan Arsenica, who's connected to the consciousness of Mikey Hernandez. I also got Ingrid Heiberg, who was a German woman, white woman, going back to that August the 22nd, 2022 timeline. From what I understand, is benefiting off of me being soul swapped. She's the higher self of the person in that timeline who took over my body. I remember one night having sacrifice angels get downloaded into my consciousness. You know, were featured to me, and I saw a white lady wearing a blue shirt and all of that getting downloaded into my consciousness via my crown chakra. So she's my higher self, or highest self in that timeline, along with, from what I believe, Alex Broadway or Alex Nascimento. I gotta figure out. But that intertwines into what I'm about to say. So to make a long story short, you know, they couldn't believe when them road spirits were doing work to try to put me back together as best as they could. And they were doing it in tranquilly. They were doing their best. Them poor things saw that the very same shit that's supposed to be working with me, going back to that August 22nd, 2022 timeline, were actually working with her. And I saw that one Saturday when we were trying to get rid of her and fight her and combat her and get out my soul consciousness, get out my consciousness and all of that. They saw, you know, I hate to say it, they saw Baron's family, but it's his roach attachment, not the real one. The real one actually, along with the devil himself, came through to try to help my ass out. I ain't saying his name. It was a roach attachment from, you know, like I was saying early this morning, Betelgeuse. They saw his higher self, Don Tolliver. They saw, you know, the real one, they tried to get rid of him. You know, he's really cool, so just, you know, protect him. 694 hertz, 695 hertz. With that being said, they saw that Alex Nascimento, Alex Broadman character here. Being consorted with a German white woman before this started. He also came to me as Isaac Marazi, telling me to watch out for the Jews you carry with you, meaning spiritual talents and abilities. He was also the one that was responsible for putting something over my crown chakra to protect me. You know, I believe in telling the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And they also saw the Illuminati. Going back to that August the 22nd, 2022 timeline, they saw Jay-Z, the Rothschilds, Camilla Parker Bowles, Prince Andrew, who, from what I understand, I'm sound schizophrenic when I say this, killed my brother Kristen as a sacrifice by throwing him off board. A whatchamacallit, what they call them things? A cruise ship that they have. You know, I'm going to show you something as well. They killed a young Latvian lady. Reminds me of my friend who was from, you know, he was from Slovenia. Or Slovakia. They killed a Latin lady at a place called Sandringham Palace. And there's a woman named Kathy O'Brien who talked about there. She was talking about the bushes and all of that. That they conduct equine or racehorse hunting, where they go and track down people, usually MK Ultra victims, by, you know, as a sport, by killing them off and all of that. It's kind of weird, you know. Who wouldn't want to live in a building like that when you got that shit right there? It ain't abandoned. It smells like burning coming from back there. So anyways, with that being said, there were a bunch of other motherfuckers that they showed me, and they were trying to rescue my parents last night, you know, and pull them out using 115 hertz. One good thing to use against the Illuminati, if you ever find yourself having a battle with them, there's a dude named Johnny Arcade who... I play his Astral command stuff from time to time, who had to battle them. Anybody who's enlightened about all this shit, who ain't under the Baphomet, if you're under God, I believe they start to fuck with you. Play 1248 hertz frequency to get rid of it, or to fuck them up. 1248 hertz is very, very effective for fucking up the Illuminati. With that being said, they saw Maria Tavares tied with him, and she also had, in the astral plane, an office set up with him so that she can work with him to keep my parents under wraps. Again, it goes back to keeping me out that August the 22nd, 2022 timeline. I'm also going to say something right now. I remember, you know, when they took my parents as hostage, my parents here. Since they've been cutting them up in the astral plane, turn my dad into a big monster that they use to harden me as an entity attachment, and also as the physical thing, turning him into a big scary looking beast. Same thing with my mama, turned her into what they call a pig monster. And I saw that at the beginning of Astral World. But I think it was something coming from a different timeline. But they'll take their entity attachments. I think this was done with the real Jesus and with the real Virgin Mary, Lord Guadalupe and all of that, and cut them up into entity attachments. I heard that Ingrid Hybrid planned on doing that to me as part of this curse, and taking different aspects of them. You know, when people see God, you see different aspects of that person that, at the worst, if they are sacrificed like Legua, that could be entity attachments taken from a sacrificed person. You know, the really Legua I heard was placed in a living furniture realm, and they were planning on doing that with my father. But anyways, going back to that August 22nd, 2022 timeline, there's too much shit going on. They were making entity attachments of him, you know, from when he was a police officer. Another one, you know, I saw it at the beginning of Astral World where my mother was cut down to nothing. She was like this entity here, this block-like creature. And she was trying to escape, and also, now that I realized it at the time, she was trying to get help. That like a pantomime of a person, a stick figure, but more fleshed out, more drawn out. And I've seen her I saw her on a couple of occasions. And that's what the Illuminati was doing with my parents. It's hard to try to locate them and get them, you know, get them back, even within me, you know, because we all have the timelines. That's what Maria Tavares is trying to remove, the timelines connecting me to them, to that timeline. So I couldn't get them out and rescue them. And try to help them and put them back into place and put them back together. You can use 3517 hertz and 3571 hertz to do that. But what they like to do with a lot of MK Ultra victims is they'll put it into their consciousness, much like with what's going on with me, and start feeding off of the person and destroying the person, torturing them and placing them in parts of their consciousness. Like, for instance, I heard that they did that with Rihanna as well. She's high level, as everybody knows, and she actually got raped by your boy Jay-Z when he made her stay in the studio for like overnight. It wasn't, no, I think you're a great singer. It was a power play. He saw a young girl that wanted to become a major singer, so he called himself giving her an opportunity. And under the auspices of that, he raped her and told her, you ain't leaving unless you have sex with me, unless you let me rape you. And that's a very famous situation. Here's a video clip of it where she mentions that and alludes to that.
Yes, he said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief.
But then he said something about a window and a door or something.
Oh, then he said, you did it homework.
I did a lot of homework on you, Miss Lady.
He said, there are two ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
So that's why I got soul swapped. I couldn't, these articles pretty much point out to it. I'm too strong, like Kanye West. That's why they put your boy in UCLA or USC. Yeah, UCLA, Santa Monica Hospital. Same one where I stayed, where I was stabbed. They were real cool with me, but, the strange thing I found is they wouldn't let me drink water for like 7 fucking days, 5 days, and finally somebody spoke up, I think a brother or Hispanic, to say, man, let that girl have water. She can't go without water for a long fucking time. You gotta have water. I can chalk it up to having been stabbed. I was stabbed in my neck here. I always wondered to myself, and I got the instinctive sense that something else was going on. Something like MK Ultra. But anyways, same thing with your boy Kanye West. He was a truth teller. He was very, very strong. He loved his mama. He loved God. But, they were showing you with the blonde hair and all of that I love Trump to death. I'm a big fan of Trump, but they had him coming out trying to act like a pantomime of his strong, cogent self. Like he's a deep thinker. So to pantomime it, they had you think that, he going against the grain simply by being a Nazi and all this pro-Trump shit. That's not him in his body. They took him out, and they have very powerful demons. I don't know the frequency to get rid of demons, but they got demons over Kanye West's crown chakra to keep him stuck out of his body. It's actually worse than what I'm dealing with, from what I keep hearing. And they take large pieces of not just his consciousness, but his body, his waist, his tummy, and gives it to to the motherfucker that's in his body. And from what I got, it's an entity attachment, a reptilian entity attachment. I think of Iggy, not Iggy Pop, but what's that? He was one of my favorite fucking rockers when I was growing up, because he was a truth teller too. They do this all the time. They actually pay people like Selena Gomez to turn people into entity attachments for them. By sacrificing them, like with what's happening with me, and carving up their spirit body, their energy body, their consciousness and all of that, like they did with my parents in that timeline, and have them disembodied. They did that with your girl Blue Ivy. That's why she all fucked up in the head looking. She got chosen, unlike the other baby. I love the other baby to death. She seemed like she just a baby living life. that's why she seemed out of it. They, from what I understand, they got her like me, if not worse. But they pay people, you know, like Selena Gomez. I mean, this bitch shouldn't be worth no $300 million. You know, I don't get how all these, you know, former Disney stars who ain't really done shit. I was looking at the people at Britney Spears concert. I remember back in the day, she wasn't all that big. All these niggas are worth like $300 million fucking dollars. Justin Bieber, now he can justify it because he was really fucking big at one point, really big. Britney, I didn't know anybody. You know, I was a teenager when she came out. I didn't know anybody rocking at her concerts. I liked her songs, don't get me wrong. They were catchy. But I don't know anybody that was going to her concerts. You know, it seems like her shit was more closed for like little kids, even though it was more adult music and indoctrination. You know, I don't want to get into slut shaming shit, but it don't seem like it had wide appeal is what I'm trying to say. But what they do is, like with her, they paid her $300 million, I believe. That's why she looking all crazy to shut the fuck up. And I heard that in that timeline, they actually took her full-fledged out of her body and placed her in the Rotron, placed her somewhere else. But they pay people. Another one was Robbie Williams. I like that song, Millennium. It's funny, too. I have a lot of, you know, I checked my 23andMe, a lot of Anglo-Saxon ancestors from England. And they were coming out to help my ass out when this curse first commenced. But that's because my soul would present as white. That's because of that Swedish past life. But here's the $300 million club. These motherfuckers, I'm just trying to think of the name of that rocker. It's not Eddie Izzard. That was another, he was a comedian who would do that tranny shit. I'm trying to think of that man's name. He was always a fixture on VH1. My conscience is getting fucked up by that Maria's family as I speak. Let me try to see this motherfucker. It's the bad teeth, but that I got. I had to get braces when I was younger. That's why they're not all the way out there bad. You know, in my case, my little brother, Kristen, the dentist, I had a crush on the dentist at the time. His name was Dr. Franco. He had shark teeth, he was saying. He was saying that he had extra teeth growing around the rims of his gums and all that shit. That actually goes back to ancient giants. Rows of teeth from. The Nephilim, they call them, but I think from what I heard as part of this curse, the Nephilim were actually like chimeras, like half unicorns, half minotaurs and all of that. But the name of that rocker is not Iggy Pop, but John Lydon. That's my boy. But he was always outspoken, so I can't see them taking a large piece of his soul. He's too strong of a person for them to pull that shit off. To that timeline, your boy would speak his piece. He was very charismatic. He was one of my favorites. Love to hear him, you know, on VH1 and all that. But anyways, from what I saw in the spirit plane, going back to that timeline, they have my parents held hostage. And they have them stuck in hell realms, and that's because in part, you can use 694 hertz, 695 hertz for this, add zeros at the front and the end. You know, numbers, I'm going to say this right now, are the key to the universe. Numbers are the language of the unity verse. It brings everything together. Numbers surpass everything. You know, I almost want to say, but I need to do the research, numbers make up God. Numbers make up everything. Aliens understand this. The Ashtar Command understand this. Galactic Command. Many motherfuckers, you know, mathematicians, many motherfuckers who ain't even that spiritual, they understand this. It's shown with science. Science just means to know. That's what the real definition of science means. It means nothing more. So with that being said, from what I understand of that timeline, it's 1115 hertz. that can be used to remove deception. There's also other hertzes that can be used to do the same thing. You can light that was right here. With that being said, they have my, because I took back my Baphomet from them. And I ain't gonna lie, I think this motherfucker got this, my connection to God under Allah here. Saying that is because at the time I was working with Allah, and I noticed working with that Baphomet, under that Baphomet, I'm gonna say this right now, I noticed that I felt a major change. Where if we were put back on the gold standard, money would be limited. But something was tweaked and done to where we were all egalitarian. We were all on the same page. It's like a communist wet dream. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Communism is practiced by humans under the Illuminati. That's not real communism. Communism is more like socialism. You develop empathy for your fellow human and want to help them out, and you want to be connected. You don't want to be on this hierarchical shit where I'm above this motherfucker, I'm above that. That's Illuminati Baphomet energy, which is not bad. It just is what it is. It's part of the nature of living in the material world. So when I took my Baphomet back, because we all have interconnections to the Baphomet, and we're tweaking it, in the spirit plane, it felt so much better. The energy felt better. It didn't feel like you were in the grovel where you had to, deadly survive against, and you had to fight against. It wasn't like Maslow's commands where you had to defeat your fellow human to get something. And I'm going to say this right now, them roach attachments for a while were hiding them, trying to protect them. I know this is real because I felt a physical alteration, a change, when I manipulated that entity attachment of the Baphomet I got. It felt like humanity was unified. That's the best way to articulate it. So I know this shit is real. I know something happened on August 22nd, 2022. Like I say, we all have timelines within that extends outside of us, that connects us to the reality of things, that connects us to the world, our timelines, our reality. So I know for a fact something happened. And Maria Tavares and them, she did something where she parasitically, she cannot become my highest self because I never signed off on the soul contract, and she did something where she sold off the entity attachment connecting me to God, to this motherfucker. And it had to be rescinded because she's not my highest self. I have to sign off on it. I ain't like a young kid, like for instance, when the deal with the Baphomet between my God and Jay-Z's was made, where he could take my Baphomet, a part of it. I was a child back then, but I'm a woman with rights. I'm 41. So you can't take my shit spiritually. They have to get my consent to do something like that major. Something big like that. That's why I don't understand how this soul swapping shit, this energy harvesting shit could happen with me. That's why it's so hard for me to do videos, and I don't do as many articles like I used to, because I get energy harvested so bad. That's why I have dark circles under my eyes, because I get energy harvested bad. I have a lot of my consciousness taken out, my soul consciousness, especially by that evil higher self, that Maria Tavares. I damn near made Trump my higher self because of that shit. I was thinking about calling on Thor. I've called on Odin. And it's funny to actually resonate with them old gods. Loki, I believe, is the original devil. And he's actually really fucking cool. I like Loki. He's the Nordic gods. Now, I'm going to say something about the Nordic gods. I don't think they're under Illuminati control. That's one thing I want to mention. I think they're independent, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I can say the same about the voodoo loas and, you know, it's something about the contract with God and all of that. I'm not sure. I gotta figure shit out. As well as like the Greek ones, Aphrodite, she's cool. She tried helping me out as best as she could in my situation. But anyways, with that being said, the reason why I brought up that is because they did something where I can't even think because of all this evil shit I got going on within. Oh, shit, man. It's on. Hold on. Anyways, with that being said, she couldn't fully sign off on it because I never consented to having this weird big bitch made my higher self. She would try to turn my ancestors. I remember that guy, another tarot reader was talking about that. The gangster tarot, spiritual gangster tarot. You know, I think them same motherfuckers came for him and tried, and they were doing the same thing, turning his ancestors against him. That's what they were doing. That's what this bad bitch was doing with me, Maria Tavares. Turning my ancestors into hers or wetbacks, hers selves, and all sorts of evil ass shit. And trying to get rid of my original higher selves, one of which was a great Jewish Ashkenazi grandmother. You know, from what I recall, the Rothschilds in the spirit plane actually connected to her. And I'll say this right now, they're bad, but they're not too bad. It's something about Ashkenazi Jews being down to earth. They have a down to earthness about them. I'm a big fan of Hitler. I know Hitler didn't like their ass, and I know they ain't the true Jews, but they have a down-to-earthness about them that I like, and they stay caping for black people because they know who the true Jews, the true Israelites are. You know, so I'll just say I'm still a fan of them, even though I know the truth. I just call shit for what I see. So anyways, from what I understand, she has them trapped in a very bad place. So she can sacrifice them so she can get wealth. I heard she wanted a Miata. You know, again, I know this with this vehicle here, they came up. And I didn't see them, you know, I'm not no stalker or anything. I didn't see them driving anything like that before. You know, it was off the, like, it was like a collection of them in a car or something. I noticed that. Wish I can get the real one. Put this shit on. But with that being said, she took that entity attachment that ties me to God, Allah, and all of that. I'll talk about truths with him later. Allah, he's different from God. It's a demiurge, but different. You know, I was looking at this video of Arabs back in the day, and they were under their old ancestors, one of whom is Pazuzu, who I'm a fan of. They were they were under Astranism. And people will say it's similar to, what the Bible talks about. You got two warring gods. You got Ahura Mazda. It's not the same because it's not like God created the devil or nothing like that. You got Ahura Mazda, and you got what's the name of the other one?
When I was really little, as far back as I can remember, I was sexually abused. And the sexual abuse went into child pornography. But as a little child, it was so natural to me to be in a sexual mode all the time that reaching out when I saw someone aroused was just a normal thing for me to do. My sexuality was never suppressed. I was never told that's wrong. I was never, it was encouraged. So I just grew up thinking that was the norm. With the abuse that I went through, it was as though my spirit was removed from it, like it took flight. It was in a safe place, one that was actually in flow while my body was being directed by other people, and ended up, being involved in things I no way I ever would have participated in. It was early evening when they played Most Dangerous Game. I was stripped of my clothing. I was allowed to wear tennis shoes and told that I could have a head start and begin running before I would be hunted down. My exposure to it resulted in my believing I had no place to run and no place to hide. It seemed there were no limits to what could happen in my existence at that time. Was the most extreme, one of the most extreme situations I think I ever survived.
Greetings and salutations. Mark Phillips and Kathy O'Brien have been through a lot. Kathy has had some extraordinary experiences in the mind control program, and Mark came along and pulled her out of this situation. So without further ado, if you'll please give a warm round of applause to Mark Phillips and Kathy O'Brien.
When I was a really young child growing up in Muskegon, Michigan, this would be the early 60s. I was born in 1957. My father had been sexually abusing me as far back as I can remember. And he often bragged of substituting his penis for my mother's nipple while I was an infant. So my sexuality was heightened from a very, very early age, and I also developed what is known as dissociative identity disorder. It was formerly termed multiple personality disorder, but has since been redefined because it's not multiple personalities, but the shattering of a personality and a compartmentalization of memory, of trauma, too horrible to comprehend. Childhood sexual abuse is certainly too horrible to comprehend. There was no place for that in my mind. This compartmentalization of memory was what the government was interested in, because they figured that if a person couldn't think to bring to mind abuse, they wouldn't be able to think to bring to mind government secrets, government perversions, or anything else they wanted compartmentalized in the brain. My experience as a mind control slave on a White House Pentagon level was extreme. I was totally robotic. I had no capacity to think for myself. I didn't have any free thought whatsoever. I didn't even have the ability to question, to reason, or consciously comprehend what I was involved in.
Mark, how do you feel being in Arkansas right now?
Nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Why is that?
This place is dangerous, and I'm not too pleased with actually being here.
I don't know how many times we've been in situations where we weren't sure if we were going to make it through it.
I couldn't count.
I can't either. But this is definitely one of them. It's over the line.
One of the worst. Because when you start this process, this is what gets everybody killed, is the investigation process. And that's just not cool. We're in it, we're on the back of the tiger, and we can't get off. We've got to finish this. What we got here, Stephen, is somebody who's top world-class businessman in his own business arena. This guy's not somebody you want to mess with. Now, he's been threatened many, many times. He's gotten into a couple of gunfights. I strongly urge you to think very carefully about your questions. And don't attempt to try to fool him by putting him on camera. Except maybe in a silhouette or something.
Would you like to know a couple of things?
I want to know everything.
If you're looking for validation in terms of what Mark and Kathy have laid on the table, hey, is it real? Yeah, it's real. And when you consider that you have members of the judiciary, law enforcement, high-level place business people, politicians involved. You understand what I'm just saying to you? It's people who shape how you see the world, tell you what's important, what's not important. If you choose to take a deep look at it and do your own research, fine. You'll find out for yourself. Hope you're fast on your feet. And hope you're capable of dodging bullets, because you might run into some. These are serious people.
Every time I turned the proverbial corner, Stephen, I ran into stuff that was just totally 100% outside of my realm of experience and hence believability. I mean, it's bad enough to hear this stuff, but it's even worse to get it validated.
Kathy, you ready? When I was 22 years old, my vaginal muscle, it was cut. And then once that happened, where there was more movement with the muscle can actually protrude out the vaginal opening. And that was carved by somebody that was a very controlling person and was aware of the effects of trauma on the human mind.
They used an X-Acto knife to do that?
Yeah, it's a series of them. I didn't have any anesthesia, so I remember it very distinctly.
Is there a lot of bleeding?
It was so uncomfortable. I remember crawling into the bathroom and getting in the bathtub.
It seems to me like more of a ritualistic type of, carving, and not just carving, but an actual face, something into there.
I see the part that sticks out. There's a little, it's like a really long nose. And then right above it are two eyes. And there's a mouth that smiles underneath it.
Mostly what was done was what is considered outside of the vagina, on the vulva. There were several incisions made, which made one flap of skin that looks like a nose, and slits were cut in to look like eyes, and even a mouth.
But after what you've been through, haven't you been through the worst of it, do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm not afraid of anything except maybe not getting the word out, if that could be construed as a fear.
Yeah,
and this word is getting out regardless. I mean, we won. We won big.
This right here is dragon's breath. These are all armor-piercing, exploding shells. This thing would make an armored personnel carrier completely debilitated. New York second, as they say.
And you keep it in your bedroom?
I keep it right beside my head, along with a 45 loaded with similar shells. Not that I'm paranoid, it's just that, I'd like to squeeze one last one off if some idiot wants to come in here.
ਪੰਜਾਬ ਅਤੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੀਆਂ ਹੋਰ ਖਬਰਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਲਈ ਕਲਿੱਕ ਕਰੋ www.abpsanja.in ਤੇ।
ਲੰਡਨ ਦੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਬਕਿੰਗਮ ਮਹਿਲ 'ਚ ਇੱਕ ਅਜੀਬ ਘਟਨਾ ਹੋਈ। ਇਹ ਘਟਨਾ ਅੱਜਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਇੰਗਲੈਂਡ ਦੇ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਮੀਡੀਆ 'ਚ ਕਾਫੀ ਚਰਚਿਤ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਇੰਗਲੈਂਡ ਦੇ ਬਕਿੰਗਮ ਮਹਿਲ ਦੀ ਖਿੜਕੀ 'ਚੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਚਾਦਰ ਦੇ ਸਹਾਰੇ ਨੀਚੇ ਉਤਰਦਾ ਵਿਖਾਈ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਦੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਕੱਪੜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ। ਇਹ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਸਾਰੇ ਇੰਗਲੈਂਡ 'ਚ ਵਾਇਰਲ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਵੀਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਵਿਖਾਈ ਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ ਬਕਿੰਗਮ ਮਹਿਲ ਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਸੁਰੱਖਿਆ ਕਰਮੀ ਬਾਹਰ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਚਾਦਰ ਦੇ ਸਹਾਰੇ ਮਹਿਲ ਦੀ ਖਿੜਕੀ 'ਚੋਂ ਹੇਠਾਂ ਉਤਰਦਾ ਵਿਖਾਈ ਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਮਹਿਲ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਖੜੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਪੂਰੇ ਦ੍ਰਿਸ਼ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖਿਆ। ਇਹ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਕੌਣ ਸੀ? ਮਹਿਲ 'ਚੋਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਉਤਰਿਆ? ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੋਈ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਮਹਿਲ ਦੇ ਸੁਰੱਖਿਆ ਕਰਮੀਆਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਜਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ। ਇਸ ਮਹਿਲ 'ਚ ਇੰਗਲੈਂਡ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਮਹਿਲ ਦੇ ਅਧਿਕਾਰੀਆਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਇਤ ਦਰਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਵਾਈ ਗਈ।
ਹੁਣ ABP ਸਾਂਝਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਮਾਰਟਫੋਨਸ ਵਿੱਚ। ਐਂਡਰੋਇਡ ਯੂਜ਼ਰਸ ਪਲੇ ਸਟੋਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਤੇ ਐਪਲ ਯੂਜ਼ਰਸ ਐਪ ਸਟੋਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ABP ਲਾਈਵ ਟਾਈਪ ਕਰੋ। ABP ਦੇ ਆਈਕਨ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਲੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ, ਐਪ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਸਟਾਲ ਕਰੋ, ਫਿਰ ਇਸ ਐਪ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ABP ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਲੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ। ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਣੋ ਪਲ ਪਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਅਪਡੇਟਸ। ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਫਿਰਦੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਖਬਰ ਜਾਣਨੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਡਾਊਨਲੋਡ ਕਰੋ ABP ਲਾਈਵ ਐਪ ਅਤੇ ਸਿਲੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ ABP ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ।